And our NFL insider Josina Anderson joining us now on HQ from Owings Mills from Ravens practice. Jojo, let's talk about Lamar. Of course, he is coming into this season with a new contract. We talked about that at length in the offseason, and then also a new OC in Todd Monken. Based on what you're seeing at camp, is there a different energy, a different vibe around Lamar going into this next season with a new contract and a new OC?
Well, certainly when you're with the Ravens, they always have optimism when you think about the tenure under John Harbaugh, just because they've been so successful since he has been head coach. But yes, the difference being Lamar Jackson entering this season with the 5-year, $260 million contract, the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., obviously the drafting of Zay Flowers. And when you think traditionally, sometimes what has been the talk around Lamar Jackson and being able to take the next step, the wide receiver core has been that question. And now he has enhanced weapons with respect to how he can go about employing the offense. And speaking of the offense, you mentioned new offensive coordinator Todd Monken. And yes, there is a new energy because you cannot be out there on that practice field, and practice is getting going right behind me here, without hearing Todd Monken's voice. He's very loud. He's very direct in a good way in terms of having that energy. And you can see him taking the time to walk over to Lamar Jackson, giving him that extra instruction and not feeling uncomfortable, though that relationship is fairly new. And then also, Lamar Jackson is still in the process of just getting his timing down and getting his rhythm down with the new targets as well. So that's what we're seeing in practice. But I'll tell you one thing, just in addition to Lamar, and I think we're going to get to it too, is just really the speed and the agility of Zay Flowers. That has been a huge thing that has been noticeable here at practice.
And Josina, you mentioned those offensive weapons, drafting Zay Flowers, of course, OBJ. And you also mentioned Lamar trying to get his timing down with those weapons. What are some other takeaways based on what you're seeing at camp between the chemistry with those guys?
Well, I mean, you know, the Ravens had a few headlines with regards to their running back and just trying to get J.K. Dobbins back into the fold and Gus Edwards. As you know, that's been a huge topic around the league. So it's just been about seeing the acclimation of those guys into the system. But really quickly, if you just allow me, I just want to go back to the Zay Flowers thing because I'm going to be interviewing him after practice. And one of the things that I wanted to mention is that when it comes to foot speed, and I've been covering the NFL for about 20 years now, it is very rare that I see elite foot speed. And this is coming from someone who used to run track for Carolina. And I would say that the fastest I've seen for football reasons is Antonio Brown when I see him doing these drills. But Zay Flowers is pretty close when it comes to his ability to get off the dime and get off the spot. And he does it so effortlessly and so seamlessly to the point where even Odell Beckham Jr., as a now 30-year-old wide receiver, is complimenting him on social media and Twitter and all those other things. So with respect to that, it's just the installation and getting the offense down. Now, the Ravens were able to keep their preseason streak going of wins as they won their first preseason game. But Zay Flowers did not get much of an opportunity there. I think he just ran the ball. He had no targets. So hopefully we'll see whether or not they're going to unfold him a little bit more in the preseason. But given the way some of the injuries have gone with their cornerback, obviously, and Marlon Humphrey, and just injuries in the past with Rashard Bateman and Devin Duvernay, they may be cautious with him in the preseason, but we'll see.
Yeah, and Josina, we'll look forward to that interview with Zay Flowers. You mentioned the injury with corner Marlon Humphrey getting foot surgery today. He is expected to miss the start of this season. Here's more from Coach Harbaugh on how they're handling that injury.
Yeah, I mean, there's two levels of concern. The one level is long-term. There's no long-term concern, and that's good. And then there's a short-term concern. There's plenty of short-term concern, and we've got to look at that, and it starts with the guys you have. We have guys that are ready to play, and they'll get an opportunity to get out there and continue to improve and get the reps, and we'll see what they can do. And of course, we're always looking for players too.
Coach saying they have guys that are ready to play. We also know Ronald Darby visiting with the Ravens today. And Josina, there's some other names that you were hearing that are being thrown in the mix as well, right?
Yeah, just hearing this morning right before I got here that in addition to having Ronald Darby in, who we know is a veteran cornerback, in for a workout, I'm actually told that Anthony Brown is a name that is on their radar, and just hearing within the last 10 minutes that he has worked out already. So they're getting those names into the fold. When you talk about Marlon Humphrey being out, Rock Ya-Sin already being out as of August with the knee injury that they don't expect to be significant. The question, I think, moving forward is whether they really feel like that is enough enough when you're talking about names like Ronald Darby and you're talking about Anthony Brown. Does Eric DeCosta, the Ravens GM, need to think about actually making a trade and giving up an asset to maybe get an even more upgraded asset in the secondary to help out this vaunted traditional defense for the Baltimore Ravens?
All right, Josina Anderson joining us from Ravens camp. Thank you so much, JoJo. We appreciate it. The Ravens face the Commanders in the preseason on Monday, August 21st. And for your daily fix of NFL news, make sure you check out the Pick Six podcast. In the latest episode, the crew is breaking down NFC North and South win totals. You can download and listen wherever you find your podcast, or you can scan that QR code on your screen.